The Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 launched today, and what better way to introduce and celebrate that with a comparison between the Tab S6 and the iPad Pro. And we tested a lot of things.
We tested the Geekbench, we tested opening apps, etc. We also tested the pencils and how they worked in OneNote.
And if you're new to our channel, we do awesome tech reviews and more, mainly awesome tech reviews. But don't forget to like and subscribe. And here are the test results. First of all, I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. Here are the specs for both devices. Samsung's Galaxy Tab S6 comes with 256GB internal storage and 8GB of RAM. This is the most powerful version you can get for this device. It has Samsung's AMOLED screen with a 2560 by 1600 pixel resolution, and on-screen fingerprint, and a Snapdragon 855 processor. I personally paid €799 for this mountain grey version. Pricing on the iPad Pro is very different. Well, much higher really. I paid €1,269 for the 12.9-inch version, and the best comparison would be with the smaller screen size of the 11-inch iPad Pro for around €1,000. However, that is still €350 apart. The iPad Pro doesn't come with a wide-angle camera and has slightly lower specs in terms of megapixel. The biggest difference between the two devices, apart from the price, is Apple's own chipset with the A12X and 4GB of RAM, and it is an ARM processor. But what really is ARM and what does it stand for? If you have paid any attention to smartphones and tablets, you've likely heard of the term ARM, used to refer to hardware inside, and it is thrown around left, right and center, often as a point of differentiation from laptops and desktops which use Intel x86. ARM is an acronym which stands for Advanced RISC Machine. Well, look, long story short, how can Apple have ARM processors that are quicker than the competition when it's using the same architecture? This happens because of ARM Holdings, the company that is responsible for this. ARM Holdings is purely a design company. They manage the instruction set and design new versions of the core architecture and then license it to other companies. And this will also influence our Geekbench score, but stick with me guys, as numbers is only half of the story, and it is no surprise that the iPad outperforms the Tab S6 both in single core as well as multi-core. When it comes to compute, it destroys the Tab S6, but again, these are all numbers, and the question is, does it make sense to put so much power into a tablet device? When we moved on to the Microsoft Office test, simply opening every application 3 times, the results were not that far apart. As a matter of fact, the Tab S6 performed better when opening Word than the iPad. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. However, that turned around when using Excel. Moving on to PowerPoint, the results were very similar, hardly any difference in performance. So when it comes to Microsoft OneNote, and you have written in that application, you open it up on both devices, so what was your experience then?
The experience between the two are very similar. Open it, you have more screen real estate on the iPad Pro. However, when it came to writing and the experience of writing, I found the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 to be surprisingly positive.
Wow.
It's as an Apple fangirl.
Yeah. Positive in what way?
It's very satisfying. The pen to device, how it works together, it is closer to using a piece of paper and a pencil.
Wow, that's pretty cool. One thing I noticed though was the latency. The latency is very different on both devices. The latency, I would say, on the iPad Pro is unbeatable. It was literally, you put your pen down, it was there, right?
Yeah.
The line was there. There was a bit of a delay, but nothing major that you wouldn't notice if you don't have the iPad Pro.
It wouldn't have upset
me.
And
as for the Fortnite test, here the powerful iPad Pro really shines. The Tab S6 and the iPad Pro were set on high with 60 frames per second. On the left hand side is the iPad Pro, and on the right hand side the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 with 8GB of RAM. And you can see that the FPS for the iPad sticks at 60, like glue. The Samsung Tab S6 FPS rate fluctuates up and down, and no question that the iPad outperforms the Tab S6 in this task. This is due to the powerful A12X chip.
You've seen all the Geekbench, etc., the performance. Yeah. What are your personal thoughts on the two devices?
Well, it's very depending on the situation you are in. I would compare that to the car manufacturing. You have cars that really put specs on paper, horsepower like there's no tomorrow. But when you go to a car manufacturer like Porsche, they have less specs, but their car drives much better. So having these numbers on an iPad Pro is one thing, and having that strong, powerful processor is absolutely amazing for certain things. But do you really need it? Is it really necessary to have that much power under the hood? Will you ever edit on an iPad Pro? I won't, for example. I won't edit anything on an iPad Pro because that's what a laptop or an iMac is for, or any editing machine.
Okay, but throwing devil's advocate in here, if it ever came to it and you were miles away from your laptop, you were miles away from everything, you could.
I could, yes, I could. It's like a 24/7 gym. You could go at night, but you probably won't. Tab S6 comes pretty close to a laptop replacement as of today. I would say more than the iPad Pro. We like it. We're gonna keep on testing. Jens here from All-Star Space.
Toni the Car Geek.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Peace out.
In case you didn't know, this that California snow.